What's up, guys? Welcome back to the JP and Trav Show on the JP and Trav Show YouTube channel and also from Travis's X. As always, it's your host with the most, JP, and to my right, I have my esteemed co-host, brother and friend, Travis J. Davison. Travis, how you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm feeling great. Feeling great. Was over in Oklahoma City today to get this. Actually, it's right over here on the table. We've got our OU Club of Tulsa golf tournament coming up on Monday, and I picked up this. I already had the game worn Kinsey Hansen softball helmet.
That's what's up.
She does the 4-time national. It's still. Ooh, it stinks. It smell like sweat and championships. So, anyways, was a good day. Was a really good day, and luckily I had a long drive, so I got to really just soak in all the podcasts, all the YouTube, TV commentary, all that kind of stuff, to really immerse myself in this finals because I'm having a better time now than I was last time we were on a live together. I noticed there's less chirpiness in the comment section than our last show. But yes, Boomer 129, Porter, Connor, hello. As we get started, how are you doing, my friend?
It's been a rough week since we last talked. It has. We choked game 4, had it in our grasps, and I don't care what Pacers fans say about Scott Foster. At the end of the day, even if some calls were missed, it had no bearing on us missing free throws, having catastrophic turnovers, um, completely going ice cold from the field, or from Shea hitting a big time three. And even with what I still believe firmly was a push off, regardless of that, for him to be able to gather himself and hit, which is a still falling away, cold blooded shot, he still had to hit it, and he did. And that's why he's the MVP. And so you can look at all those things and try to excuse it away, but there's just not. Like that was it right there. I believe that was a series. And then you have obviously Halliburton being a non-factor and getting injured in game 5. Who knows if he's even playing tomorrow at this point? And so it's just like it's been a bummer. And on top of that, you're probably asking, why are you in your car, JP? Well, the Thunder obviously got here yesterday, and apparently they brought, some of the famous Oklahoma weather with them because the east side of Indianapolis's power is all out, and has been since 5:30. That was 4 hours ago. I'm trying to keep all the stuff in my fridge okay. My freezers, trying to drip out. Gotta have towels around it. And now I'm trying to get gas for my car. And I was just at the gas station before we went live, and I couldn't even freaking pump gas because their power's out. So, the Thunder, it's not enough for them to just win the finals. It's not enough for Tyrese Halliburton's calf to be strained, him worry about Terry's Achilles. Thunder have to say, okay, we're gonna win potentially a finals game and championship on your floor, and we're gonna take your power with us. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Man, just a rough week. It sounds like.
Mm.
It does. It reminds me. It reminds me of the DeAndre Jordan. Just you doing it from the car in like a powerless Indiana. Reminds me of all the reports of Mark Cuban driving around Dallas looking for DeAndre Jordan that night. I feel like
Yeah.
you're driving around looking for a fresh right calf for your boy Tyrese. But really, it's one of those things. Should have should have just kept McConnell in. Probably are up 3-2. Going back to Indy. If you guys just leave TJ McConnell in, I have long been a TJ McConnell fan. I've always thought he should have
Oh,
gotten. I always
oh, oh,
I
have
always
you?
thought
Have you
I,
now?
I always thought TJ McConnell was the heart and soul of that team. that he earned some extra minutes in the fourth quarter. I can't imagine what it must have looked like, what it must have felt like for him to have the best quarter of his career, and and then just to watch Halliburton go in there and piss it all away. I did check into T.J. McConnell's contract. He's only making $10 million. If you guys have no plans for him, he would fit great on the Thunder. He's just a Thunder type of player. So I've already looked into what packages they could get him. So anyways, so should have left T.J. McConnell in, and I have no doubts in the world that Tyrese Halliburton will start Game 6. I have zero doubts that Tyrese Halliburton will start Game 6. Thunder fans have been through this before with Jamal Murray, and Adelson said, "Hey, we're preparing as if Jamal's not going to play Game 6," and then magically he was out there and he scores 25 points in a must-win game at home, and we're not falling for that this time. Halliburton had the MRI, no results yet. We don't know, but I have zero doubt that Tyrese Halliburton will lace him up and will be in the starting lineup.
Listen, I need y'all to understand before we dive deeper into this analysis, the generational switch up that our brother just did right here. Because I have texts saying TJ McConnell's a thug. I have texts from the other night saying TJ McConnell is a thug. But now he's a Thunder type of player. That's what I was told. It's okay. I'm gonna let it go. But yes, TJ was excellent the other night, and I've been telling Trav this since he's been a hater of his since when he was up here visiting me from the New York Knicks. He's like, "Why is TJ in the game? Get him out the game." Now he found out, and of course, we just couldn't utilize him in the way we needed to. I'm actually up followers now. Ever since, to be honest, Monty kind of was getting on some people, and since he did that, some extra people have followed me. And again, not that I ever truly cared, I really don't. But it was just more like, hey, it's kind of trivial. Like it's a finals, bro. Like I ain't never lost 100 followers over crazy takes. Like Trav and I are always called sunshine pumpers. Trav and I always get told we're arguing with the fan base because we argue with people that are just have dumb takes and are doomers. But like I've never lost followers over stuff like that. But I'm losing 100 followers because of a finals. Like it was just funny to me. But anyways, I digress.
Yep. This is insane. Knicks would have already beat the Thunder by now. Knicks, get out.
Has he lost his mind? The Knicks would have got swept, bro.
Matchup. They're such a bad matchup. You thought Brunson couldn't deal with the on-ball pressure of Tyrese Halliburton. Like, no. Brunson's whipping hair back and forth, and Towns is zesty behind. They'd have been swept.
Yeah. Well, I am on my way back home to get on my computer because our power just got back on.
Hey, look at that! Power back on.
So
how exciting!
Must have been all these Oklahoma fans must have said, "Oh, we feel so bad for JP."
Yeah.
That's our Sooner brother out there. Help him out, God.
Oklahoma coming to save the day again. You got a name tag on, my guy?
Yeah, I was at a little safety meeting for my church, and so we did a little name tag thing so people could know who we were and stuff. So that's where I just came from. And I was hoping the power was back on, and then I get home, and it's not. So here we are.
Man, that is tough stuff. We had storms here last night. Had a couple big tree branches down, like a couple 10-foot, 14-foot type branches down. That was pretty crazy. But the garden's getting plenty of water. I know that much. Plenty of water. So yeah, but no power outages here. I'll knock on wood that you're hearing. But what are you thinking? What are you thinking is going to go down in Game 6, JP? What do the Pacers need to do? Outside of just win, what do the Pacers need to do?
Outside of just win, what do the Pacers need to do?
We have to, I think, continue to play our game, and it's honestly, we have to hit free throws. We have to do a better job of just not freaking fouling. And again, I you can say what you want about some of the foul calls, stuff like that. At this point, you're this deep into the series, you have to make a decision on whether you're going to realize how games are being called or not. Now, again, I know it can change from game to game because it's different crews, but like, it's just we get some dumb fouls sometimes. It's just a fact, and we need to not put ourselves in a position where we're allowing Oklahoma City to live from the free throw line. That's number one. We got to get freaking rebounds. The offensive rebounds have killed us. Honestly, they killed us at times in the Knicks series. And if we're going to continue to allow Oklahoma City extra possessions, that's not going to be, in the cards for us because it takes away possessions from us that we could score. Um, I think we have to take way more advantage of Pascal in the high post, in the switches and the matchup nightmare that he is, and get him going way more than I think we have at times. Andrew Nemhard has to show up. He was terrible last game, which I know a lot of it on the offensive end is because he's freaking chasing Shea around. It has been the entire series. And I think most people would say he's been doing a pretty good job, but Shea's just freaking great. And, will just find ways to score. He still averaged 30. But I don't think him averaging 30 has anything to do with like the lack of effort that Andrew, because I think anybody watched the game and said, man, like Andrew's been chasing him and everything like that. But Shea just has an uncanny ability to hit so many tough shots. And obviously, if they're going to allow him to, if people want to say it's by the book, whatever, they're going to allow him to create space the way he does, then it's almost unstoppable because that man is as clutch of a mid-range shooter that I've probably seen since Kobe. And obviously, it's Michael Kobe-esque the way he. So at the same doubles, you have to get it out of his hand. You have to live with Lou Dort hitting threes. You have to live with Aaron Wiggins. You have to live with Casey Wallace hitting threes. And if they deserve, the Thunder deserve to win the championship on our home floor. But to me, it has to be rebounding, defense, and then just continuing to play our pace on offense because I think we've gotten some things that we've wanted here and there and have had opportunities the last two games. It's not like everybody always has expected blowouts, but none of these games have been blowouts because we don't really blowouts don't happen to us. We put ourselves in positions, time and time again to be able to close in what typically has been our quarter throughout the whole playoffs, the fourth quarter, back games, flowing out and
You got a little robot
just
voice going on right
absolutely
now.
falling apart, allowing you guys to go.
You got a little robot voice going on right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. But yeah, absolutely falling apart down the stretch at your guys' place, even when we had cut it to 2, and allowing you guys to get it back up to 15 in a matter of like 3 minutes, which is just inexcusable. When you cut it to 2, like that just can't happen. And so we have a lot stacked against us. Tyrese if he plays, he's going to be like 60%, if that, like truly. And so, we need to see what he can give. And then TJ, like as much as he was, he's not a full-time starter. Like he's good. He's good in his spurts, but we can't play him the whole game and expect him to have the same impact. So I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If we win Game 6, great. There's no way we're winning Game 7, so it may just be a moot point.
Wow, you heard it there. No way that the Pacers win Game 7. That is a direct quote. Hey, go ahead and mute your mic because you can hear me in the background of your car.
Because you can hear me in the background of your car.
I got you. My bad.
All right, let's see if this works a little bit. So, he said no way that they win Game 7. With Game 6, I thought, and I will keep pounding the table for this, they should have put the ball in Pascal Siakam's hands over and over. He only had 15 field goal attempts in that game. He had what? He was like 9 of 15 for 28 points. You know, he shot 50% from so he shot like 65% from the field, 50% from three, and then I think 83% from the free throw line. Like that's your best player, and he's won a championship. He gives the Thunder the most problems matchup wise offensively, and that's who he is, right? He can handle the ball. So you get a big out on him, and he can often go by him. If you get a small on him, he can often overpower him. So like it's the biggest matchup issue that the Thunder have, and yet guys like Obi Toppin take 11 shots. Guys like Benedict Mathurin take 11 shots. But Pascal Siakam, the guy you should be running your offense through, especially when Halliburton's hobbled, you know, not able to stay in the game, like you have to run it through Siakam. And I know he had some turnovers, but he was being aggressive, and it's kind of like what I said before the series, JP. It's like the only path that the Pacers have to win this series is if Pascal Siakam is Finals MVP. Now, right now, he's got better odds than Halliburton does. I think a lot of that has to do with his perceived availability. But this should have been Siakam's series from the get-go, you know, trying to kind of force it through Halliburton and whatnot when you've got elite on-ball defenders, elite perimeter defenders. I mean, we changed the rotation specifically to deal with Indiana's ball handlers. Get it into Siakam, let him cook. But really, it came down to turnovers and Oklahoma City scoring off of turnovers. Indiana finally got back in that fourth quarter, and they turned the ball over 4 consecutive times. And Oklahoma City, I think, got 9 points off those. Like 4 consecutive times. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden it's a blowout. Like, not a blowout, but it's out of reach. Like
disastrous.
Like, and that felt like the time where it was like, I honestly, and this sounds sacrilegious, I'm sure in Indianapolis, I think that will be the let go of the rope moment. And I think we might have a rough game 6 because because I think after game 1, it was like, man, we're the comeback kids, man. We do this. And they did it. Well, and then in game 4, you have the lead, and it's the Thunder that, cause you to choke, right? And then game 5, you think you finally got it back, and then the Thunder just slammed the door and deadbolted. So I know the never quit, the never die Indiana Pacers, but if there was ever a time, I think honestly that it's possible that I don't know, it's possible that the Pacers might look at it and finally just say, look, we just can't come back against this team and make it work and start settling for some threes and things like that. I mean, they've shot 36 more threes than the Thunder this series anyways. I expect them to shoot significantly more in game 6.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where I'm not saying you think that they're going to be like give up per se. Obviously, I think they're going to play hard because it's at home. Like our fans aren't going to go for that, and so we'll have to see what happens. I think the game 7 will be a blowout in my opinion. Potentially, like to where that happens, and especially if Tyrese isn't playing, and we don't have. And to speak to your point about Pascal, I understand that, and I agree with what you're saying, but that's just not how we function the entire year, and it would be changing up what we do in a singular game or singular series. Which again, I get it's NBA Finals, but we're an ecosystem. Like we play team basketball. That's what it's about. Because then you have guys where like we did in game 2 and 3 where you have like 7 players scoring double figures, like, and so then it's truly a pick your poison type thing, which in some ways you guys can understand. Obviously, you have a bigger big 3 than we do, but when you guys get contributions from your bench, Like it makes you hard to guard. And both of us, obviously, both teams have been doing that very well the entire year. The difference is you guys have a clear go-to guy in like ISO situations. And while yes, Hallie has been great in terms of his clutch shots, and nobody can deny that, right? In the playoffs, he's not at this point in his career. He's not an isolation guy over and over again. He can do it in a vacuum, clearly, but he's not. He doesn't have a bag like a Jalen Williams. He doesn't have a bag like a Shea Gilgeous Alexander. He doesn't have a bag like a Pascal Siakam. Now, can he get there? I think he could. He's still young. He still has time. That's just not what he's, obviously worked on as of now. He's been an All NBA player. He's been an All Star. He's been on the Olympic team playing the way he has. So I don't think it's a problem the way he plays. But certainly when you get to this level and you see, hey, maybe there is something to when I have to score, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to have. This is what I need to bring for my team. Doesn't mean that that's the type of player I have to be all the time. He's not. He's not going to ever be an SGA. I don't think. Just like I don't think SGA is going to be a Tyrese Halliburton. They're two different types of players. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, clearly SGA is better. Clearly SGA is more consistent, and ultimately, I believe SGA is, leading his team to a championship.
I think the Pascal Siakam stuff for me is more of like a styles make fights kind of argument. Like it's the team defense is, I mean, it's really the only thing that can match with Indiana's just fierce ball movement and pace. And when Indiana wants to run, it's like, okay, cool. Like they got no problem running. Like Oklahoma City has got no problem running with you. So it's one of those where I'm a big believer in don't do what your opponent wants you to do. And I think everybody wanted TJ McConnell out of that game. But then also, as a Thunder fan, every time I saw Pascal Siakam with the ball, I was like, this is a problem. We can't defend this guy as effectively as we want to, because he's just, and part of it is like, I don't know if you remember it was on the call where I think it was Nembhard that had it under the basket, and like he faked and got SGA up in the air, and then he went around him and made the layup. And Richard Jefferson is like, look, dude, you've got the MVP up in the air right in front of you. Jump up, create the contact, and finish through the contact. Like it's funny because there are some guys that, like Jason Temp being one of them on the volume. He's like, you should not, like, it's a non-basketball play to try and draw that foul.
Yeah.
But in the Minnesota series, it was like Shea kept on going at Rudy Gobert, and he would get him on the fake, and Rudy would bring his arms down, and then he would jump and get the foul, because Rudy Gobert is a 4-time defensive player of the year and an elite rim protector, and Oklahoma City likes to play at the rim. So it makes sense to just try and get fouls on the guy you want out of the game. So where it's like when Nembhard dodged and went up for the layup, I'm like, oh, thank God he didn't jump into Shea there, because Shea was being super aggressive defensively and had racked up a couple fouls. So it's like little stuff like that. And that's why when Shea's driving, absolutely it matters, fouls called. But also that's why I'm glad that, Siakam, they weren't as aggressive with Siakam, because if Siakam starts driving, he's often going to get fouled. I don't know how many free throws he shot. I could look it up, but he got fouled a bunch. And the thing is, the people that are mainly guarding him are like Chet, and Chet anchors our entire defense through his rim protection. So if I'm Indiana, I'm like, okay, we are going to styles make fights. And while we want to be this high pace rim, just move the ball a ton, hockey assists, like we want to be this, but man, we will be so much better at this if Pascal is able to get Chet on the bench, with a couple fouls early, or they're having to crash a bit more on Pascal because he's getting to the rim or he's making threes. I mean, like that's what I would be doing, because I think it's one of those things, like the way they got you here, absolutely. Like, but the fact that Oklahoma City has not seen a zone a really like good zone since Denver was running it. Like you've got Miles Turner picking up, like going up to follow the screen like 60 feet away from the basket. Like, and either Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein sets a screen up there, and SGA is just like, okay, I'm going to split this, and then I'm just going to run to the basket because Miles Turner is like out at half court, trying to get back. It's like that never happened with like Denver. Didn't often happen with Minnesota because they were like, hey, just make threes. Like make threes, make jump shots. We're going to pack the paint just like Oklahoma City does. Pack the paint. We're going to run a zone. But instead, they're like, hey, we're gonna put Nembhard on him, and he's been doing actually a really good job. I mean, Shea is averaging 32.6 points a game in the finals, which doesn't make it feel like Nembhard's doing a good job, but he's not doing it as efficiently as he's normally doing it. So
that's
he's
just how
still
good Shea is, though. That is what I was talking about
right.
earlier. Like
Right.
that. If you watch the series, it's not about what Andrew Nembhard's not doing. It's truly about what Shea is doing. And it's as simple as that. Like his greatness is shown. And then Jalen Williams, not sorry to cut you off, but Jalen Williams has gotten progressively better each game and had a 40 burger, in game 5. So if that's what it's going to be, if they're going to be that type of duo, forget about this finals. I mean, you start talking about a run.
Right. But my point is like, how many of Jalen Williams, do you remember that shot chart they did where like, it's one of my favorite graphics where they like actually do like the little like animated versions of them. Like, I think that's incredible. I love watching those.
It's cool.
But like, I think Jalen Williams got to like 8 points before he had to take a jump shot. Like it was like he could beat his man off the dribble, and he's got a 7'3" wingspan. So he's doing that where he doesn't gather the ball into the other hand and just gets the ball ahead of you and lays it up high off the glass. Like that's the stuff he couldn't do against Minnesota because Gobert was back there. He couldn't do it against Denver because they packed the paint. But I don't know how many Jalen Williams layups and dunks, Rick Carlisle's going to see before he's like, hey, maybe we should have Miles Turner stand under the basket, like, or do something to just pack it in, do something different. Because if it turns into a layup line and a mid-range, turnaround jumper from the nail line for SGA and Dub, then that's all she wrote. Like you can't. That's not something that you can just take your medicine with and then hope you come out on the other end. Especially with how much confidence J Dub's playing with right now.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll have to see what happens. Miles, again, this is not an excuse. Miles has been dealing with some sickness, and so not even defensively. I'm talking offensively. Offensively, he's been putrid,
bad
this series, and he's not been near who he was in the playoffs nor the regular season. And that certainly has changed some of the dynamics of this series. Because if he plays what he normally plays like, then you have again a floor stretcher that gets Chet, which is, I mean, that was why again Indiana could be a matchup nightmare as well, because you have a guy like Miles Turner that can stretch the floor at the 5 position, and you can't just leave him alone typically. However, this series you absolutely can, because he's shooting like 28% from 3 or something like that.
Yeah, the whole team came crashing down from 3-point percentage, like all in this series. Now, some of that is just regressing to the mean because, yes, you guys are the top 3-point shooting team in the playoffs, but like y'all were shooting an insane amount for the playoffs. Like you had dudes that were out shooting Steph Curry, like prime Steph Curry playoff runs. Like it was like, how do we have dudes shooting 54%? Now, Lou Dort, he's our leading 3-point shooter, and he takes a lot of open ones, but I think he's 5th right now in 3-point percentage all time in the finals with minimum 20 attempts, which is crazy. But like it feels like everybody got cold at once. Now, of course, on the road that happens, and you've played more road games than you have home games, and role players tend to shoot better at home. But even Indy's, like through the first 3 series, like Indy's role players shot better on the road than they did at home. It was the weirdest thing. Like that's the exact opposite. So I think it was. I think this series as it's worn on, especially the last 2 games, I think the Indiana 3-point shooting has turned a bit more into a pumpkin, all at the same time. Right. So that's where, that's where it's really fallen off. But yeah, with Miles Turner, man, that top of the key three, like that should be his shot.
He's hit it all year. He's hit it literally all year. And again, I get that he may be sick, but it doesn't account for him missing the amount of shots that he's missed. And sometimes you go through slumps, right? So it is what it is. I'm not like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with you? It's just like it's the worst time, literally the worst time to be going through a slump, right?
Well, and do you ever think about this? I know it's kind of weird to think about, but like illness, because I was looking at the Jamal Murray illness stuff from Game 6 and 7, in the Denver series, and like illness with like there were rumors that Shea was sick for Game 3 or Game 4. Actually, there was Miles Turner illness. Like, are these like I feel like most like day-to-day illnesses are contagious. These guys are sweating and breathing on each other and bleeding on each other and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know if outside of like COVID, I'm not sure there's ever been a player that actually had to sit because he was, sick. But a lot of these sicknesses are absolutely contagious. So I always thought that was kind of funny. It's like these guys are literally like contact, sweat, everything, breathing, spit, all the whole 9 yards the entire time. And it's just like, oh, he's sick. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. I'm like, what? Crazy.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know, man. We're going to see what happens. At the end of the day, I don't feel like we have enough gas to I don't even think we have enough gas to win tomorrow. And I hate to say that. Tomorrow's Kirsten's birthday. Would hate for them to lose the finals on my wife's birthday. But, it kind of is what it is at this point. I think OKC clearly has momentum, having won 2 games in a row. Hallie hurt. It doesn't lend itself to – now, I could be shocked and we could win tomorrow. But even then, now you have to go back to OKC and you have to replicate that performance again, which, again, is hard to do. And if we do it, then in my opinion, it would be up there as like a top 5 finals win in NBA history. Not
how many?
It would have been even with Halliburton. I feel it was a generational run. But then if you consider that Halliburton's hurt, and especially if he doesn't play even a factor or doesn't play, and we still find a way to win the finals, that's ridiculous. It would literally be NBA history. It'd be crazy.
What
crazy thing to think about?
If you had to bet it right now, how many minutes does Halliburton play tomorrow night?
10. If he plays, I would say he plays 10, in my opinion.
I would put a ridiculous amount of money on the over 10. I think he plays more than 30.
I hope not, because I don't want to see him tear his Achilles. And if he does that, then our next
I think he plays more than 30 and doesn't tear his Achilles. I'll double down on it. But I do think he plays. I think he does a lot of East-West stuff like he was doing in Game 5. I don't think he's going to try and get to the rack much. You might see him put some shots up. But here's part of the issue. I think that Rick Carlisle should have just, if he was that hurt, should have sat his ass down. Because Rick Carlisle is a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
It is not up to Tyrese Halliburton whether he goes in or not. Not up to him. Up to the head coach. And no, star player is going to sit there and go, no, I can't go. I don't want to give it a go.
Yeah.
Especially one who's as online as Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton's online. Like he reads the tweets. Yeah. So he knows that if he just didn't go back in, what the world would have said about him.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like you hurt the team by going back in. And the thing is, Rick Carlisle, for my money, a Hall of Fame coach, has to sit there and say, look, man, you can't go back in. I can't afford maybe worsening your injury. Let's wait to get an MRI. Let's see what's going on. I can't afford that. TJ's got the hot hand. We're going to ride him the rest of the way. Like I feel like that's what you have to do. So the fact that he went back in the game makes me think that in game 6, he said it in the postgame, if I can walk, I'm going to play. And the thing is, if he can walk, he's going to play because his head coach, for whatever reason, doesn't have the stones to tell him, no, you're not. Like, that's what's crazy to me. Like, there are two things that have shocked me about Rick Carlisle in this series because, again, I consider him a Hall of Fame coach. The fact that he let Halliburton go back in if he clearly wasn't right. He talked about how he wasn't right after the game. Let him go back in, pulled TJ McConnell. Didn't even get TJ McConnell like a breather, tell him to go back in. Like, pulled TJ McConnell, gave him Tyrese's minute, or gave Tyrese his minutes. And then the Miles Turner following screens at 60 feet. Like, how does Rick Carlisle not say, hey, buddy, stay back. Let them go screen. And the center's got to run back down here. Like, Isaiah Hartenstein isn't going to stand at half court after the screen and wait for Miles to come guard him. Like, just stand down there and don't let Shea just blow by you every time and you just be stuck in no man's land when you're the rim protection. Like, so, like, that's where Rick Carlisle has shocked me in the series of, like, no zone, chasing, having the bigs chase out to half court, and then basically letting Halliburton determine whether he's going to play or not, to the detriment of the team.
Yeah.
But I think Halliburton plays a hell of a lot more than 10 minutes. I'll tell you that.
We'll see. I mean, it's a game time decision. I just, if he gets hurt, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be very hot about it. It's a tough conundrum to be in because it's the finals. You dream about being in. There's no guarantee you get back. Damian Lillard's never been. We were just talking about Chris Paul. Chris Paul's never been to a conference finals. Like, it's not a guarantee to play in this, you know. And obviously the Pacers are going to be good for years to come. I think everybody sees that. But again, that doesn't mean that we're going to go on the run that we did again. It sucks. It's a tough position to be in, and
you guys will be favorites in the East next year, especially with Tatum out. Like, you guys will be favorites, and then because I don't think the Knicks are improving much. I mean, they might learn how to play better together with another year of Towns and Brunson. But like Orlando, I mean, did Orlando gets that much better with Bane? I don't necessarily think so. Like, when you just kind of look around, like, I mean, if Giannis stays with the Bucks, sure, it's the Giannis show, but without Dame, like, I don't know what you're really thinking you're doing. Yeah. You know, when you keep going around, the Cavs will be good again, but I don't think Cavs really scare anybody. You know, so I don't know. The East feels wide open, which again is, you know, as many have said, is why I think Orlando took such a big swing, you know, going for Bane, because they're like, wow, the East feels a bit more wide open, because after last year, everybody was like, man, the Celtics are just better than everybody.
Yeah.
Like, they're just going to make threes. They're going to shoot 63 a game and shoot 45%. And it's going to be what it's going to be at that point. Like, so, but with Tatum out, you never know. Windows close a lot quicker than people think. Yeah. So I think the West is going to be, I think Durant at 37 is not, and he's not really healthy anymore. Not that he's ever been the marathon man that a lot of people are, these Iron Man people. But, like, you've got Wemby and the Spurs coming with the number 2 overall pick, Fox and Castle. And everybody thinks Wemby healthy is like a top 10 player. And then, you know, the Rockets were the 2 seed. They'll get better. They're young, right? And they got people thinking they want to get Giannis. And then, you know, Butler and Steph coming back. Obviously, Jokic will continue to be a problem. The Clippers took Denver 7. You know, you've got Dallas, which obviously lost Luka to the Lakers. So the Lakers might be good if they get a bench or a center. But Dallas getting Cooper Flag now and pairing him with Anthony Davis and Kyrie, but Kyrie will miss most of the year. So, anyways, I just don't like the West is going to be, while Oklahoma City will be the massive favorites in the West next year, like they're going to have problems with some teams for sure. And hopefully Chet can make the leap that J-Dub did this year. But it'll be interesting. I wouldn't mind I wouldn't mind the new Warriors Cavs annual. How about we could just play the next 3 against each other? Sound good?
It'd be fun. I would hate it every year, but I don't know. I think we have to see if we can continue to build on what Rick has built, and if we can stay healthy and have everybody contribute the way they did. I think it's a potentially sustainable model. I think that if we get, I don't know, it's tough because it's like, man, if you get another player that can go alongside of Tyrese and Pascal, they would fit. Then maybe, and obviously a lot of people would hope that's Benedict Mathurin, but Benedict Mathurin is a different type of player than what fits our system. He is a guy that I believe, like in the right context, could probably average 20 points a game in the NBA consistently, but that's just not our offense. And there's been plenty of times during the season where you can look and see, man, he really just does not like fit the mold of what the Pacers do. So we'll see. But anyways, we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires. By the time we play next week, or we have this show next week, we'll have an NBA champion. I am betting you that it will be, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you guys will be happy. And obviously, while I won't be happy for my team, certainly I'll be happy for the people of Oklahoma because it's my literal family. And obviously, we're all of us are aligned on everything else pretty much. But, then we can move on to football. Speaking of football, I did want to talk a little bit about John Mateer, as we, I think, all saw. I think we all saw what Todd McShay had to say, right, about John Mateer. And so I wanted to pull up this report. Did you see this did you read this full report, Trav?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So he put out a full report of John Mateer. And so I'm going to read some of these things, and I think it'll be good to just talk about as we look at our new quarterback. And so this was his evaluation. He says players are graded on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the best. So mental makeup, he gets about like average. So tough as nails, plays his ass off, insanely competitive. Fast eyes and shows flashes of being able to go through full field progressions, very decisive. Also a highly instinctive playmaker when on the move and surveying the field. Thrives in turbulence, which is a great attribute, but needs to stop creating some of his own turbulence with frenetic play style and pocket impatience. Can he be trusted? That's a question obviously NFL teams will be asking if he can't dial back some of his recklessness. To his credit, though, for all the overly aggressive mistakes and errant throws, he only threw 7 picks and fumbled 3 times. Now, I'm interested, we can go kind of chart by chart on what your thoughts are on kind of that evaluation, and then if you have any concerns.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the video. I didn't read this, but I watched the video. So I think it's interesting because for everybody that knows, Todd McShay, NFL draft analysis, mock drafts, he's up on ESPN. He's been doing it for decades, feels like, him and Mel Kiper. When he's talking about some of this stuff, it is about how NFL teams will evaluate him. They even went and said, hey, look, it's good that Mateer is with Arbuckle because Oklahoma will have success. Mateer will have success. But will year 3 of being under Arbuckle for Mateer, will he fix some of his footwork? Will he fix some of his this, that, or the other? Or will he just continue to play like this? The thing is, like, what's good for the NFL draft prospects of John Mateer may not be good for Oklahoma, may not be good for John Mateer, the college player, the Heisman hopeful, things like that. It's an important distinction because when you listen to NFL scouts, they're like, we want him to do, have different footwork. Well, I don't want him in year 3 under Arbuckle messing with his footwork or messing with his release or messing with how he plays the game, because
Yeah.
that's like it's taking it out of him. So yes, for NFL stuff, like if he just plays, if he's accurate, he doesn't turn the ball over, he's competitive, he stays healthy, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, Oklahoma will be very good for it. But it's interesting how they approach it from an NFL prospect versus college football player perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think it's interesting and tantalizing, honestly, in ways to think about him as an NFL prospect. And obviously, he's drawing some eyes, which I think is good for not only Oklahoma on the field, but even the perception of Oklahoma, right? Just as we continue to go. Now, the one thing I would say before we move on to, the rest of this, I think that the one thing, hopefully I agree with you that like maybe we don't want to change a lot, but like, I wonder if the level of competition, and I know he's obviously theoretically Power 5 Washington State, but I wonder if that has something to do with like him not throwing a lot of picks and stuff like that, because maybe you can make some of those mistakes playing a little bit lower competition, but obviously he's in the SEC now, and so I think some of that may not be as apt to be let go or as apt to not happen. Because in the SEC, you're going to face, a lot of top 20 defenses, top 30 defenses. And so it'll be interesting to see how it fleshes out. But regardless, I think we can all say it seems that it's definitely going to be better than last year. Accuracy, he says, all over the board with ball placement, but perfectly capable of correcting the issues because he's a naturally good to throw the football. And consistency is all I have to do with mechanics. He makes some spectacular throws when sprinting to his left or right. Uncanny ability to deliver the ball from unorthodox arm angles and or completely off balance. However, he's wildly inconsistent, partly due to his wildly erratic launch points, or both his lower body and his arm. But even when everything's calm around him, he still seems to create self-inflicted chaos. That's the best way I can describe it. So it seems that sometimes maybe he creates, his own pressure, which I think we can all say that sometimes we saw with Jackson too.
Well, he talked about he talked about a specific play where like they ran like a red zone, just like fade, and it was open, and he had clean pocket, nobody around him, and he turned, and instead of just like delivering it normally, like it's I think he said he sawed off his delivery. He didn't follow through, and he like moved to the left for no reason. Like that's what he was like. I'm watching a guy that's in a clean pocket, and he's creating problems for his mechanics for no reason. Like he's not having to dodge anybody, yet he's still moving. So his co-host said that he's on the dance floor, like he's back there dancing for no reason. But PSS, interesting. Todd thinks his accuracy issues are purely mechanics. Assuming Arbuckle isn't equipped to correct this, given his material history together, I don't think that Todd doesn't think Ben Arbuckle. I don't think it's a doubt in him and his whether he's equipped to do it. The question is, he's been with them a while and they haven't fixed it. So do they not care about fixing it because the results have been so good? And he's worried that maybe if he, tries to rein him in a little bit from an arm angle situation or a footwork situation or anything like that, that he'll take away some of the magic, like in some of the crazy plays and the big time throws that he makes. Like, is he worried that he might, kind of break him of that a little bit? That would be my question, more than like whether Arbuckle is equipped to coach footwork. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a big difference in that. Like, he's equipped to coach him, and he's equipped to put up a lot of points and a lot of yards and score a lot of touchdowns. So I don't particularly care how it looks as long as we keep on crossing the goal line.
For sure. Moving on, talks about his release and arm strength, which is a 2. Again, we're talking about a 1 to 5 scale, and he said 1 being the best. So, I know that's a little backwards, but 3 is kind of in the middle, and then once you get to 2s and 1s, and I would say that's above average and great. So 2, he generates a lot of torque from the craziest of launch points. His true arm strength is pretty damn good. Nice zip on intermediate throws, can drive it vertically with relative ease. Not elite overall ball velocity, but very good. And room to grow in this area with his better lower body mechanics. He says tricky to figure out the baseline of his normal stroke because he varies his delivery with a lot of frequency. And when he has space to operate, he still likes to change his arm angle and throw off balance. He brings the ball back down into the chute sometimes and needs to work on the consistency of ball carriage. So, he may be more susceptible to fumble. But he can snap the ball off in a flash when he needs to. So good release and good arm strength, which I think, again, would bode well for, the University of Oklahoma, on top of, if he's going to make quick decisions, which I think was the difference with Jackson Arnold last year. I think you could also say that Jackson Arnold has good arm strength and good ball velocity and a good release. I think that's what made him a 5-star, but it was more of his decision-making that kind of where a lot of things blew up. Am I correct in that assessment, Trav?
Yeah. I think, and have you watched the video or have you just read these?
I saw a small clip of I think it was a 10-second thing, but I haven't seen the full video now.
I'm interested in their, these are Todd's grades, but he's got a co-host that did his own grades as well.
Yeah.
His co-host put arm strength at 1 at elite. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason he talked about it was he'll be running full sprint in one direction and then just crack one off across his body, throwing, and without any legs. The issue with arm strength is how much can you generate without getting your full lower body into that torque. And he said he generates such an insane level of torque with his upper body that gives him the benefit of the doubt on the arm strength. They're like, can he drive it, 60 yards? Well, yeah, but he's going to have to get his lower body involved in that at some point. And that's where they're talking about a little bit, is just the disconnect between the lower body and the upper body. Not everything kind of goes through the cone in one direction. You've got sidearm, you've got this, that, and the other. So I'm excited to see because he touches on his notes. I'm excited to see what he says in this next one.
Yeah. So pocket mobility, and then we'll kind of give the full breakdown. But pocket mobility is a 1.5, so basically elite. Ultra quick feet, extremely sudden in the pocket, and speed to match. Legitimate running threat on RPOs and wedge back draws. In addition to scrambles, he makes sharp cuts. On one hand, I applaud that he's almost always advancing the offense by climbing and pressing the line of scrimmage rather than retreating. So drifting to the right or left or drifting backwards. On the other hand, I would like to see him show more patience in the pocket. He's very quick to bail in the pocket and his progression reads. He needs to learn it's okay to slide from pressure and reset his feet. Not every maneuver in the pocket needs to result in a fire drill. He had 8 sacks against Boise State, which is a snapshot of what concerns him about his play style, particularly as it relates to the NFL. There's a few too many times where he gets greedy and pays the price. He won't be able to run from all the bullets in the NFL. And we saw glimpses of that in this game. But it's important to note that overall, I thought he played well against this suffocating defense. He wound up completing 70% of his passes and showed flashes on playing on schedule from inside the pocket. I think we would all agree that, at the end of the day, holding the ball a lot of the time, especially even when it relates to in the SEC play, is not always going to fly. And so certainly that's something that he probably will look to get better on in a third year in Arbuckle system, but also being able to potentially just grow from his own film study.
Yeah, for sure. And he knows what's on the line. He knows that he's going to a better division, a better set, and he wants to play in the NFL. So it's based on everything they've said, it's not like one of those things that he doesn't know that he has to keep improving or that he won't work hard enough to continue to improve. I think those two are both givens.
Yeah. 100%. I think that there's every intention that he could be better at all these things. This is his tape from Washington State. As well as you could certainly probably say at Washington State, he probably had to carry a lot of things on his shoulders, whereas at Oklahoma, he's going to have a lot better of a team around him, right? Especially offensively.
Correct.
Last piece, and then we'll move on to questions and then get out of here. It says Mateer is a breathtaking prospect to study in all of the ways. He's an undersized playmaker with undeniable suddenness and speed. He has a snap release with energy on the ball, no matter what the arm angle or his body contortion on delivery. I absolutely love his competitive fire and toughness, and also appreciate that when buying time, which he does frequently, he's always looking to advance the offense rather than bailing, drifting, or retreating. He routinely executed the most challenging of throws, and he often delivered in clutch moments in 2024. He carried Washington State's offense last season, and he's a massive upgrade at the position for OU in 2025. So again, it's not just the average OU fan. Obviously, even Todd McShay was seeing how much of an upgrade was needed, and that this is. That said, Mateer's footwork can be an unmitigated mess at times, and his erratic ball placement is a direct reflection. In addition, his frenzy style play leads to a lot of poor decision, despite his solid touchdown to interception ratio last season. So new stop in Norman, but the same offensive coordinator. His hope is that Mateer has drilled in his footwork and has worked diligently to play within structure with more patience in the pocket and sound decision-making based on progression reads. Improving in both areas this season will be a must for Mateer as it pertains to the NFL draft stock. Simply put, Mateer's challenge is to bottle up the magic while dialing down the turbulence. As it stands, I will comfortably say he's a day 2 prospect heading into the season, which is, again, far and above with what we had last year, even at that.
Yes.
But I'm highly intrigued by his skill set, competitiveness, and playmaking ability. I believe there's a good deal of growth in his future. And as you guys can see, the NFL comp, shades of Kyler, Baker, and Johnny Manziel.
Well, and he goes into, he said, I knew from watching him last season on TV and early in my tape study that this was a Texas high school football product. Like, that's what they look at. Aggressive, Mike Leach, Cliff Kingsbury, Lincoln Riley, aggressive, Baker, Manziel, Kyler, Mahomes, right? A lot of these guys. Jalen Hurts was a Texas high school football product, right? Like all these guys, like these are that's what they're known for down there. So pretty fascinating stuff that he's able to kind of. I mean, Jackson Arnold, Michael Hawkins Jr., right? They're all Arch Manning. Well, I guess Arch Manning was Louisiana. He's in Texas now, but regardless, Quinn Ewers was a Texas quarterback. So
yeah.
Certainly interesting. I think we all know we're going to be better at quarterback this year, but he does say, hey, he could work his way up into the top 15 if he just fixes like some footwork things.
He does say that. That would be that'd be pretty exciting to see happen. So I would encourage all you guys to go read this article. Obviously he breaks it down even here, like plays against different teams like Texas Tech, Washington, and Boise State. And I'm going to watch the video because I haven't seen that yet. But I thought that was a fascinating read. And, being able to break down exactly what we're getting in our quarterback this year, John Mateer, and that we're going to see a better offense. And hopefully with that, our fortunes will turn in terms of, games and outcomes of games. And so, guys, what questions do you have for us? We still have some time. We'll get to more of OU's roster stuff probably next week after, I probably get dunked on, but we'll get there. What questions do you guys have for us, if any, before we head out?
Do we need a reminder of the bet since, it is the.
No, it's okay. I make it. Thankfully, my power's back on, so I got my milk cooling in the fridge, so I can have it ready.
LSU just walked off Arkansas in the College World Series semifinals. Literally, Arkansas was up 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. LSU runners on first and second, and LSU hits a double. It goes under the Arkansas outfielder, absolutely cursed, and then they walk it off with the next bat. Like, Arkansas is one of the best programs in the country, and they have 0 national championships.
It's
Like-
crazy. It's crazy. It's insane.
Like people talk about OU basketball being one of the best in the country without a national championship. Arkansas baseball is like that on steroids. Like,
yeah, it is. They
imagine,
literally had it in their hands, bro. Like a few years ago. You remember that?
against Oregon State.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Imagine Oklahoma, basketball, making the Elite Eight like 10 times or whatever, and never being able to bring it home. Oof.
Wolf. PSS says who is protecting his blind side as long as we're hoping he doesn't get happy feet off him.
I think it's going to be Jake Sexton.
Yeah.
I think Jake Sexton stays a tackle right there. I think him and Logan Howland will fight that out on the left tackle side. Obviously, there are going to be people that want Fasusi playing. If he makes it into the rotation, he makes it into the rotation. But I don't think it's a good sign if a true freshman comes in and is starting at left tackle his first year in the SEC. But I think it'll be Logan Howland and Jake Sexton battling out on that left side. We got a Wazoo fan in here, Brandon McKee. John Mateer, absolute dog.
What we like to see. What we like to hear.
And this is pretty easy for me. Vikings Super Bowl.
I was gonna say it. I don't know about that. That may be close.
The Thunder have been here since 2008. We made the finals in 2012. We should have made the finals in 2016. And we are like, the suffering isn't the same. Minnesota Vikings have been around since 1960. They've made it to 4 Super Bowls. They've won 0. I've got family members, grandparents that died before they saw a Super Bowl for their beloved Vikings.
Yeah.
I've got aunts and uncles that have done the same. We always talk about just one before we die. Just get one before we die. So, that will be.
I hope you get to experience that, bro. I hope you get to experience, your football team winning a Super Bowl.
It would be crazy.
It is great. I was 10 when the Colts won.
Yeah.
It was the time of my life. So.
Yeah, it's definitely the Vikings Super Bowl. Pops and I would make the pilgrimage among my mom, my sister as well, back up to Minnesota to be at that parade. There is no doubt. Yeah, can you imagine a Vikings Colts Super Bowl? If you think we're like this, man, get us with the gridiron sports. We'd really be in trouble.
Just ask Travis about how I was in Denver.
He was reckless. You think he talks a lot online? You should have seen him. You should have seen him in the streets of Indianapolis too. You try to say you try to say you're not a superstar? What? And then he's getting on the TV camera. He's yelling into the TV camera. Naptown. He was on fire.
Me and Travis actually did an interview that didn't it didn't make the final cut, I don't think, but we did an interview with Off the Glass TV.
Yeah, I need to go find them, and if we end up winning this series, they better post it.
Yeah.
So now the Vikings championship would be that'd be one for the books. That'd be one for the books. But I will say, if you come down to what Pacers jerseys do you have?
I have,
do you have any current ones?
Rose jersey. I have a Reggie Miller. Old, but that's pretty much it. To be honest, I haven't bought as many as I should. I need to buy a Tyrese jersey.
Can I make a make a suggestion on your next actual your next Pacers jersey?
Sure. You gonna say TJ McConnell? Wayman Tisdale, the GOAT.
That would be dope. If you want to, if you want to bring them OU fans home,
Yeah.
you show up rocking a throwback Wayman Tisdale jersey. Now we're really talking. So
yeah, that'd be dope. Wayman Tisdale's the go, man. Rest in peace.
especially those old school jerseys. Oh man, it'd be incredible.
Oh yeah, 100%.
His I think it's his nephew, but his nephew I think just opened a cigar bar here in downtown Tulsa. So I was in there the other day. It's Tisdale's cigar bar. So I'll be getting one of those shirts for sure. Wearing it to
Next time I'm
wearing
down
it to
there,
OU.
hey, you know you gotta have to be careful coming back up here, man. We can't destroy the relationship at Burn, man, because you want to be,
No, they know what's up.
Oklahoma City'd out.
No, they know what's up. They know what's up. Maybe they'll let me borrow the Larry O'Brien trophy to bring up there and say hi.
No, oh my gosh, we'd never be allowed in again, man.
All right, we calling it a day. I know JP's just getting back to having power. I know it's late out there.
It's late, and I got some things to do. I'm not going to divulge, but tomorrow is not only is it Juneteenth, obviously, but tomorrow is my beautiful wife's birthday. Turns 29 tomorrow, so
Nice.
preparing for that and doing some stuff.
Absolutely.
For her. But yeah, so hopefully, it'll be a good day tomorrow, regardless. Like I said, it's my wife's birthday, but who knows? Maybe the Pacers will scrap something out, but we'll see. And next week we'll be back to full-fledged OU football. So one way or the other.
Yep, one way or the other. All right, man. Deuces.
All right,
Thunder
y'all.
up.
Boomer.